talking about? We're talking about spiders, and we're talking about pervitin', and we're talking about Bigfoot. I'm here to tell you where he's been. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. Here we go now. I'm talking about Mr. Gulley, and you don't know where he's been. Oh no, he's been right in your alley. Well, I'm Mr. Gulley, yes I am. So what we talking about? We're talking about spiders, and we're talking about pervitin', and we're talking about Bigfoot. I'm here to tell you where he's been. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. One, two, three, four. They call me Mr. Gulley. I've got something for your ear. Now it might sound kind of funny, but I'll make it very clear. So what we talking about? We're talking about spiders, and we're talking about pervitin', and we're talking about Bigfoot. I'm here to tell you where he's been. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. Here we go now. I'm talking about Mr. Gulley, and you don't know where he's been. Oh no, he's been right in your alley. Well, I'm Mr. Gulley, yes I am. So what we talking about? We're talking about spiders, and we're talking about pervitin', and we're talking about Bigfoot. I'm here to tell you where he's been. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way.
Hey, everybody, what's going on? What's hot? What's hip? What's happening? What is shaking on your Thursday night? Tonight, let me tell you about bowling. And I'm telling you what, there is a lot of ground to cover and a lot of things that you're not even going to believe about bowling. I swear, I was doing the research and I was just like, you're kidding me. That can't be true. But it ended up being true. What are you going to say? Hey, by the way, anybody need any shoes? You want shoe rental? All right, you got to have them back. The condition you found them in, all right? What do you mean they're unsanitary? We spray them. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Anyway, I've got all sizes right there behind me. Hey, please take a second and like, share, subscribe, retweet, notification bell, all those totally free things that you can do that help us with the algorithm, the almighty, all-powerful, all-seeing algorithm. Algorithm's very important, especially the likes, especially the subscriptions. Just subscribe. You never have to come back if you don't want to. It don't cost you nothing. A little something for the effort, you know? And when you share it, because you're smart and you have lots of friends and they trust everything you say, you know, it makes me look good. I don't know how good it can make me look, but it is a little. Also, we do have super chats. We do have memberships. We appreciate it when you contribute. That helps us pay the bills around here because, you know, StreamYard isn't free. Having my show wrecked every 2 or 3 nights, it's not free. Not free. Also, if we turn on the begging bar here at the bottom of the screen, you know, it tells at the very end how to turn on your gifted memberships. Many people gift memberships to other people in here, and the membership gets you access to members-only exclusive content, like the 2 documentaries I will be showing that have been privated for like 12 years, and I'll be showing those on Sunday. And you get that. And also, memberships are probably the best way to contribute to the show because it's cheap and it makes you look like $1 million. It makes you look like you just got cash to burn and you're a philanthropist. It's really great. It's really great. So much to cover here before we even get to your comments. First of all, I am wearing a bowling shirt right now. And it's a bowling shirt of great significance for a variety of reasons. This bowling shirt is 40 years old, and it still fits me like a champ. I'm telling you. Yeah, that's how I, yeah, you know, pardon the pun, that's how I roll. Get it? That's how I roll. So it's 40 years old, and I created this bowling shirt. When I won the David Letterman Scholarship, I did a project called Jake Stone Private Eye. I, of course, was Jake. See, Jake. On the back, it says Jake Stone Productions. And everybody who helped me, you know, all the people that acted in it and ran camera, and my girlfriend at the time, who was super helpful, everybody got one of these. I'm probably the only one that still has one. So I'm in bowling garb. All right. Now, second of all, y'all know Metal Maiden Vicky from Metal Maiden Vicky's Metal Euphoria on SonicAsylumRadio.com, Saturdays, 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Go to the website. Their chat room rocks. Metal Maiden Vicky, she donated photos. Can you believe it? Photos from her personal collection of a bowling alley. Look at that. Now that's nostalgia right there. You can't ask for a better friend than that. There's that one, and then there's this one. And it's the Starlight Lanes bowling and a cocktail lounge, not to mention the snack bar and the game room. And now's another good time to mention, I could have done a whole show just on bowling food. I don't know if any of you have been bowling in the last 20, 25 years, but there's a staggering array of heart-clogging food that is known to be associated with bowling. But Metal Maiden Vicky, thank you so much for contributing those. There's another one she has about a drive-in, so I didn't show that one. But I will when I do the show. Oh, look, that's great. Thank you. Thank you so much, StreamYard. But I will when I do the show about drive-ins, which I better write that down right now. Because we do need, that might be next week. We might do a show, well, we will do a show on drive-ins. There we go. and her photo will feature prominently. Now it's time to get to your comments before we dive into the topic of the day. I might mention the Wolf is here. Hey, Wolf, I will be showing a photo of Chris Schenkel, fellow Hoosier and bowling god. Funky Bronco's here with us again today. He says, can't wait for the episode today. I know it's going to be a good one. Well, you're the one. Positive Patriot is here with us. Of course, the aforementioned Metal Maiden Vicky from Metal Maiden Vicky's Metal Euphoria on Sonic Asylum Radio, who does so much for us here. And I've done nothing but ruin her show. Anyway, and she also contributed these lyrics because, of course, she is Metal Maiden Vicky and knows everything about music, not just metal. She says, we're going to rock, we're going to roll, we're going to bop, we're going to bowl, 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 bowl. We're going to bowl is actually a friend of mine's favorite song. I'm not joking. And that friend insists that Grease 2 is better than Grease 1. I don't trust that friend, really. The coach is here, Coach Mike Rodick. It's always good to see you, Coach. He says, hello to all my friends in chat. Oh, hey, Tom. Oh, hey, Coach. Lysol loved bowling alleys. It wasn't even Lysol. It was disinfectant spray that was much stronger than Lysol. As a matter of fact, at the beginning of The Big Lebowski, you see them disinfecting the shoes. I'll just say it. It's a line from Robert Klein, and it is, renting a bowling shoe is like renting a Kleenex. It's not good. Chef is in the house. Always good to see him. Positive Patriots laughing. Nice bowling shirt, but who's Jake? And then she says, oh, wait, you might tell us. And then, okay, there you go. Yes, I already divulged that. People saying hi. We do have the most cheerful chat room on the internet, as verified by independent sources. And Mike says, I thought they only made one bowling shirt and everybody shared it. Well, that's actually a unique concept. The Wolf is here. He's saying hi to folks. Melanie and Vic says, oh, my God, bowling alley fries with the cheese and the chili. People saying hi. People saying hi. People saying hi. Well, the drive-in was next door to the Starlight Lanes. Oh, I didn't know that. Bowling for dollars, yes. The mainstay of United States television programming. Good times. Everybody loved Bowling for Dollars. And then they had Celebrity Bowling. Does anybody remember the show Celebrity Bowling? You can see it on YouTube. So it's like Bob Newhart and Dick Schaap take on Jerry West and McLean Stevenson. Yeah, it's crazy. Hey, Wolfie, people saying hi, people saying hi, people saying hi. The Wolf would like to be called the Dude for the duration of tonight's show. You know, he is the dude. That's what you call him, or his dudeness, duder, if you're not into the brevity thing. Anyway, Metal Maiden Vicky says, I'm glad I never encountered anything icky when choosing a bowling alley ball before I got my own bowling balls. You had your own bowling balls. Well, you are from New York, so that might explain it. The East Coast, very big on bowling. Look, it's somewhat of a stereotype that like German and Polish people really like bowling. It won't seem like a stereotype when I'm done here. A lot of things won't seem like a stereotype when I'm done here. Although one of the things that I'm going to tell you about, and the numerous examples of that thing, will shock you to your core. I'm telling you. Coach Mike says Bowling for Dollars was fun to watch. It really was. Dan. I got to remove some things from my studio here because I have so many photos of bowling. And you are going to see some bowling things that blow your mind. I am going to blow your mind with bowling. By the way, everybody loves bowling. I mean, bowling is such an easy and fun sport. It's always a good time. So I'm glad we're doing this. And that, of course, also is at the suggestion of Metal Maiden Vicky. So thank you again, Metal Maiden Vicky. All right, SonicAsylumRadio.com. Okay. Now, we got a few disclaimers here right off the bat. Bowling, of course, is what they call a target sport. The target sports are any sport where you're aiming at a target, and it's a recreational activity. You roll toward pins. In pin bowling, there's so many forms of bowling that we are going to have to exclude. And I'm now going to give a disclaimer. We are not talking about duck pin bowling. We are not talking about 9-pin bowling. We are also not talking about candle pin bowling. And we're not talking about 5-pin bowling. We are talking about the big one, the granddaddy of them all, the 10-pin bowling that we all grew up with, okay? You might have dipped your toe into the duck pin bowling world or whatever, but we're talking about 10-pin bowling here. Now, there's also something called target bowling, which, for lack of a better term, is bowling where you try to come as close as possible to a target on the ground. And, thing you're not going to believe, number one, the ice sport of curling that's so popular in Canada, that's played with a broom, that is a form of target bowling. There you go. Bowling is very, very popular, and it's played by 120 million people in more than 90 countries. But of those 120 million people, 70 million of them are right here in the US of A. So over half. Obviously, as many of you know or have heard from family, friends, or maybe you just picked it up on the street, the object is to knock over pins on a long, smooth surface called a lane. And those lanes are made of wood or some synthetic surface with a protective lubricating oil applied onto the lane. And a strike is achieved when you knock them all down at once, and the spares are achieved if there is a second roll of the ball. There you are. There you are. So, let's talk for a second about ancient history, shall we? The earliest forms of bowling date back to ancient Egypt, with wall drawings depicting bowling being found in royal Egyptian tombs dating back to 3200 BC, and miniature pins and balls in an Egyptian child's grave from about the same time, 3200 BC. Remnants of bowling balls were found among artifacts in ancient Egypt going back to the Egyptian proto-dynastic period. Yeah. Can you dig it? And balls at that time were made using the husks of grains, which pretty much everything back then was made from the husks of grains, I think. Husks of grains were very popular back in the day. They really, really were. And those husks of grains were covered in a material like leather, and they were bound with a string. Here, let me show us somewhat. Let's get back into the old days. I've actually got older pictures than this, but this is an early example. This painting is actually called The Bowling Game, and it dates to 1655. Yes, and many of the paintings from what they call the Dutch Golden Age actually depicted bowling. Bowling was very popular amongst the Dutch of those times, but we're not even close to 1655 yet. But this just looks better, because let's face it, this guy is way too modern, and he's way too into it. He looks like he might be an athlete and actually know how to bowl. Let's see, Extreme Bowl is what that place is called. Anyway, there's the Dutch painting from 1655. So, other bowling balls of the time were made of porcelain, and those have also been found, and they indicated that those were rolled along the ground rather than thrown due to their size and their weight. Can you dig it? About 2,000 years ago in the Roman Empire, the Roman legionnaires used to bowl. But their bowling game was a target bowling game, and that is sort of what became bocce, or outdoor bowling that's practiced by a lot of Italian people. Around AD 400, so the year 400, bowling began in Germany as a religious ritual to cleanse oneself from sin by rolling a rock into a club called a kegel, representing the heathen, resulting in bowlers being called keglers. Sometimes you hear the slang term keglers for bowling, and a lot of you thought it was for drinking kegs of beer, but you were wrong. Wrong. So you're knocking over heathens, are you? All right. Let's get a little further into history, shall we? Not that much further, though. In 1299, the oldest surviving known bowling green was built in Southampton, England, and it's still in use. In 1325, laws were passed in Berlin and Cologne that limited bets on lawn bowling to 5 shillings. Because you know how people like to bet on bowling. In 1366, the first official mention of bowling in England was made when King Edward III banned it. And why did he ban it? And by the way, this is just the beginning of what is going to amaze you about rich and royal people and bowling. You're not going to believe this. Because today, bowling is seen as kind of a working class sport. Guys from factories, guys from offices, and men and women. Oh, and we're going to get into the women, too. The women, a big part of bowling, ladies. Big part of bowling. Why did King Edward III ban bowling? Because it was a distraction to archery practice. I ain't lying. In the 15th to 17th centuries, lawn bowling spread from Germany into Austria, Switzerland, and the Low Countries, playing with surfaces made of cinders or baked clay. So they were trying to get like a flat surface type thing going, right? In 1455, lawn bowling lanes in London were first roofed over, turning bowling into an all-weather game. In Germany, they were called Kegelbahns and were often attached to taverns and guest houses, which, of course, is the earliest known connection between bowling and brewskis. A lot of beer, a lot of suds with your bowling, and that persists to this very day. In 1463, a public feast was held in Frankfurt, Germany, with a venison dinner followed by, you got it, lawn bowling. Now, let's get into some of these hoity-toity royalty and stuff. You're not going to believe this. Especially a lot of the guys that I bowl are, they may be of Polish or German descent. They may be just regular people. They may be mechanics. They may be whatever they are. It's always, hey, you want to bowl? We're going bowling. Hey, we're getting a team together. You can be, handicapped. We get you on the team. Anyway, not what was happening in the early stages of bowling. English King Henry VIII. And let's face it, King Henry VIII had a lot of other problems. We all know that. By the way, this is going to be a really long show because there's so much to cover here. Anyway, King Henry VIII loved bowling. He was a fanatic about bowling. And in 1511, what did he do? He banned bowling for the lower classes and imposed a levy for private lanes to limit them to only the wealthy. That's right. Another English law passed in 1541, and it wasn't repealed for 300 years. prohibited workers from bowling except at Christmas, because Christmas means bowling. For 300 years, they could only bowl on Christmas, and even then, only in their master's home and in their master's presence. I'm not joking. In 1530, King Henry VIII acquired Whitehall Palace in central London as his new residence, having extensively rebuilt it, complete with outdoor bowling lanes. And it's not really related to bowling, but it's just funny. A tennis court, a jousting tilt yard, and a cockfighting pit. So bowling from its earliest times. Anyway, the founder of the Protestant Reformation, Martin Luther, founder of the Lutherans, he's the guy that set the number of pins, which varied from 3 to 17, to 9 at the time. Why he did this, how he did this, why people went, oh, yeah, he knows what he's doing, it's 9. He had a bowling lane built next to his home for his children, but he sometimes enjoyed rolling a ball himself. In 1588, English Vice Admiral Sir Francis Drake allegedly was playing the sport at Plymouth Hoe. That's a name, not a person. When the arrival of the Spanish Armada was announced, he replied, "We have enough time to finish the game and beat the Spaniards too." It's such a bowling thing to do. Hey, Bill, they're breaking into your car. Hold on a second, I'm in the 8th frame. We'll get to it. In 1617, English King James I published Declaration of Sports, which banned bowling on Sundays, but permitted dancing and archery for those first attending an Anglican service, and this outraged the Puritans. Outraged them. So it's like, yeah, you can do those things, but only if you go to an Anglican church service first. Now, this declaration was issued again around 25 years later in 1633 by his successor, Charles I, but then the Puritan Parliament took hold and they publicly burned the Declaration of Sport. The Puritans. And the Puritans, you really got to tick off a Puritan to get him to burn something. Especially a Declaration of Sport, The Puritans aren't really into confrontation, if you've read up on the Puritans. In 1670, Dutchmen liked to bowl at the Old King's Arm Tavern near modern Second and Broadway in New York City. In 1733, the Bowling Green in New York City was built on the site of a Dutch cattle market and parade ground, becoming the city's oldest public park to survive modern times. I got so much other bowling stuff to tell you, but I have noticed that your comments are accumulating, so why don't we get to some of them? The Wolf says, I loves to bowl. Metalman Vicky says, years ago, me and some friends once threw a bowling ball against the side of Starlight Bowling Alley until it broke. We had to see how it looked inside. It was a lot harder to break than we thought. Metalman Vicky says, a guy that worked there gave me a bowling pin. I have no idea where it went, though. Chef says, when I worked at Fountain Square Theater building, there was a duckpin bowling alley there. Yes, many people talk about that in downtown Indianapolis area, as well as the duckpin bowling they used to have near, as I mentioned yesterday, legendary Iaria's restaurant. And I highly suggest you look at the photos of Iaria's, Gilman is here. He says, hello, Gullyites. Oh, man. Hello, Gilman. Metal Maiden Vicky has, so very generously donated $3. You know what? You're not going to get the point for that, Metal Maiden Vicky, but what you are going to get is something maybe even better And that is, of course, if I can get StreamYard to cooperate with me, which of course it's not. Come on, man. Oh, here we go. Here you go. Well, no, I'm going to save that. Metalman Vicky, instead of the point, you're getting legendary Hoosier broadcaster and host of ABC's bowling program, Chris Schenkel. He hosted the bowling program for like 20 or 30 years. He worked for ABC Sports. He did a lot of other things too, but there he is, Chris Schenkel from Bippus, Indiana. Bippus, Bippus, Indiana. Died in Fort Wayne 20 years ago. Anyway, thank you, Metal Main Vicky, for the $3. We do need those donations so very badly. So thank you very much for donating to the cause. And I know if Chris Schenkel was here, he would thank you as well. Let's see here. The Wolf says, when they tried to steal the Cougar, they stole my bag and Nike bowling shoes in size 15. What a bunch of jerks. Bunch of jerks. People saying hi. People saying hi. Gilman says, the local bowling alley is where I discovered the jukebox and air hockey. People saying hi. Paused Up Patriots here. He's a great guy. He says, Tom, do you believe the Egyptians? Some people don't think they even existed. I do think they existed because I've seen the movie Cleopatra. People saying hi. Wolf says, come on, Tom. That guy had a trainer's body. No way he could throw an explosive strike. Well, he doesn't have a trainer's body, but I'm not saying he's Charles Atlas. Chef is in the house saying hi to everybody. Victor said, only bowled a couple times. My gig when I was young, yo-yos. I think we've done a show on yo-yos. The Wolf says, pause there, my best team in Age of Magic, so they must exist. People saying hi. People saying hi. Gaseous says, I am not great at bowling, but damn, I enjoy it nevertheless. I think that's the key to bowling. You don't have to be good at it. Nobody's going to make fun of you. And even if they do, that's part of the fun of it. Just have a good time, you know. Gilman says, I took a bowling class in college like Vicky did that made me really appreciate the game. Well, the Wolf knows that at our university, Ball State University, they have a bowling alley underneath the Student Center. And we had a heck of a bowling team, and we also could take bowling. Didn't even have to leave campus. We take bowling as a class. The Wolf says, hello, Gas. Yes, welcome, Gaseous. We're pleased to have you join our strange little group here. Victor says, I once won a yo-yo contest. Walk the dog. Hey now, walk the dog's not an easy maneuver in yo-yos. Tommy Smothers, amazing at yo-yos. And of course, Duncan, the best yo-yos. People saying hi, people saying hi, people saying hi. Whoa, there's a big hi from one of the big people around here. Our official resident Cajun, Doc Torn. He says, hail, Wolf, Gilman, Metal Maiden, Vicky, Chef, Coach, Paz, Doc, and all our wonderful host, Tom Stone Green Gully. Every time you say that, I have to explain. Stone Green means not even a show rates their hosts green, orange, and red. Green being the highest, red being the lowest. And they have rated me eternally or carved in stone as green. And they call that Stone Green. I don't know if they've done it to anybody else, but I was the first anyway. People saying hi. People saying hi. Brian Sargent is happy to be here. Is that an H2BH, Brian? It's great to have you here, Brian. And, of course, welcome. Oh, please subscribe, new folks. It don't cost you nothing. You never have to come back. And a like, a little something for the effort. We could use a like, too, It's something we could do. Warfield says, King Henry liked bowling with certain heads. Yes, the heads of his ex-wives. People saying hi. People saying hi. People saying hi. Yes, welcome the newcomers to the room, everyone. Victor says, had a hard winter here in Oregon, 70-something now. I sometimes get the feeling that Victor is writing a book in the chat room that has nothing to do with the topic at hand, but I enjoy it. It's fun. The Wolf says Martin Luther was a real pinhead. Hey now. Victor says trivia. Log trucks in Oregon. Hauling logs. Banned. That's terrible. Gilman says a pitcher of beer always goes down smoother with those rental shoes. Well, it makes you feel better about not thinking of all the bacteria. Wolf says, how dare they ban bowling? What a bunch of jerks. Tom never mentioned Bowling Green. That's why I said the Bowling Green. Bowling Green, of course, hated arch rival. Well, one of the many hated arch rivals of Ball State University in the Mid-American Conference. There's a whole bunch of them. We hate them all. Chef says, I'm going to start a new job next week at Lily's. The bummer is it's from 6 in the morning to 2 in the afternoon. I am so sorry to hear that, Chef. Lily's, is that Thai restaurant? There was a big controversy at a Thai restaurant in Indianapolis about tipping just a day or two ago with video and everything, because one of the servers recognized some people that had been in and not tipped. And so she sat down and said, okay, what do I have to do to make this experience good for you? Because the last time you here, you didn't tip. And that gets into the whole, should you be going out to eat if you can't afford to tip? And, you know, when I was a waiter, I had people say, I am so sorry. I am just really up against it. And I could tell they were being sincere. And I went, hey, no problem. We all get up against it, and that shouldn't preclude you from having a nice meal. I would say, though, that people have been in the service industry and had the tip, live on their tips, I should say, usually are good tippers. They get it. But anyway, I don't know if that's the same place or not. Middleman Vicky says 300, like a perfect bowling score. Yes, 300. I get it. $3, 300, like 300, like a perfect bowling score. Middleman Vicky, I'm glad you brought that up, because later in the program, we'll be talking about the evolution of bowling's scoring, which is also weird. Anyway, let's see here. The Dutchman once worked in a fire lookout, Dutchman Peak, 7,417 feet elevation. Nice lookout, flew the U.S. flag. Well, thank you, Victor. MMV for the win, yes. Chris Schenkel sounds like someone who bowls. Doesn't he, Coach? Doesn't he? Gilman says, love the Schenkel reference. Well, we Hoosiers have to stick together. Well, native Hoosier. Now I'm a Texan, but that's by choice. Hoosier by birth, Texan by choice. Wow, that's cool. Middleman Vicky says, I started in a league when I was in middle school. My parents were in singles and doubles team. My grandmother bowled for like 25 years. She worked at this hospital, and these ladies that worked in the pharmacy, and she all had all those bowling pictures are great because they're all wearing the same clothes, and then they're all sort of standing sideways up against a wall. They're awesome. Gil says he has been stoned on green. Well, I don't know what to say about that. Melmaid Vicky says, I thought the rental shoes looked better than the shoes that came with bowling balls I had. I thought they were dorky. I mean, bowling shoes weren't fashionable at all, but those custom ones. Chef says, I'm sorry, I have to go. Everyone say goodnight, Gracie. Good night, Gracie. Gil, what kind of rocks did they use? I don't know what's going on there. Tom, have you ever seen pétanque, the French bowls? They were part of the research for this, but that's one of the forms of bowling that we may mention, but we're really talking about the 10-pin bowling here. But yes, that was one of the kinds, and I think that is one of the forms of target bowling. Has anyone here ever kept score manually? I had to learn. Yes, I have. No, the pharmaceutical company. Oh, Lily, the pharmaceutical company. So you are chefing for the executives at Eli Lilly. Well, yes, well, someone's doing well. I have eaten at the private dining room at Eli Lilly, the giant pharmaceutical company, and it is très chic, magnifique. It's really nice. Victor says moon rocks. Tim Jenkinson says bowling pictures are like concentration camp pictures. They're all wearing the same clothes and lined up. Easy, Tim, easy. Melmain Vicky says, I found my 2 old bowling balls in the basement of my mom's house when I cleaned it out, but sadly they did not bode well over the years and ended up in the trash. In the trash. Sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. In 1819, New York writer Washington Irving, the legend of Sleepy Hollow, made the first mention of 9-pin bowling in American literature in his story, Rip Van Winkle. Yes, newspaper articles and advertisements, at least as early as 1820, refer to 10-pin alleys, usually in the context of a side attraction to a main business or property, as distinguished from dedicated bowling alley establishments as we now know them. So, let me show you something. Let me show you something. Bowling is really big in Indiana, by the by. Oh, yeah. This is actually from Vincennes, Indiana, where Red Skelton was from. And this is an ad from an Indiana newspaper in 1838, and it describes how 10-pin bowling alleys were constructed to evade a Baltimore statute. Wait a minute. That's not what I'm reading. This is from a 1920, Indiana newspaper. It's an ad that proclaims a ball and 10-pin alley to attract customers to a bakery. So you can see up at the top, baking and confectionery. There's a choice of liqueurs, and then ball and 10-pin alley at the bottom. So that's the Indiana Central and Public Advertiser in Vincennes. And it was a way to get people to come to your retail establishment, was to say, hey, we got bowling and we got bread as well, and biscuits and rolls. Yeah. In 1846, the oldest surviving bowling lanes in the United States were built as part of the Roseland College. The lanes are now part of historic New England's Roseland College House Museum and still exists, kind of. In 1848, the revolutions of 1848 resulted in accelerated German immigration to the United States. 5 million Germans were here by 1900, and they brought with them their love of beer und bowling with them. And by late 19th century, they made New York City a major center of bowling. Because that is what the Germans do. There was no word if Pervertine was part of the kegling. No one mentions this. In 1875, the National Bowling Association, unfortunately with the acronym the NBA, was founded by 27 local clubs in New York City to standardize rules for 10-pin bowling, setting the ball size and the distance between the foul line and the pins, but they didn't agree on anything else. And then that was superseded by the American Bowling Congress, right, which is now known as the United States Bowling Conference. Who knows why? Who knows why? In the 1880s, Brunswick Corporation, which was founded in 1845 in Chicago, Illinois, a big maker of billiard tables, began making bowling balls, pins, and wooden lanes to sell to taverns that were installing, yeah, you guessed it, bowling alleys. Bowling alleys. All right. Now, this next thing's going to blow your mind. On the 9th of September in 1895, the modern standardized rules for 10-pin bowling were established in New York City by the new American Bowling Congress, later the United States Bowling Congress, who changed the scoring system from a maximum of 200 points for 20 balls to a maximum of 300 points for 12 balls. There you go. They set the maximum ball weight at 16 pounds. That's true to this day. And the pin distance at 12 inches. The first champion of the American Bowling Congress was Jimmy Smith. But more importantly in my mind, much more importantly in my mind, he said, vamping for just a moment, way more important in my brain, can you dig it, is this person right here. It's this person that I can't show you till I get rid of a picture because StreamYard is terrible. This person right here, who StreamYard tried to keep off my screen by only having me able to store 10 pictures at a time, this amazing woman, look at this lady. Come on, check her out. This, ladies and gentlemen, is Mrs. Floretta Dottie McCutcheon. And she defeated Jimmy Smith in an exhibition match and founded a school that taught 500,000 women how to bowl. And just, some 55 years later, women were allowed to join the American Bowling Congress. So, but check out old Floretta Dottie McCutcheon. Does she not look like she can roll? Come on now. Come on. I think that's pretty amazing myself. I think also it's pretty amazing there was a woman named Floretta. Hi, I'm Floretta McCutcheon. Dottie Floretta McCutcheon. She's so happy and so bowling. By the way, for Tim Jenkinson, in 1903, the English Bowling Association was founded by cricketer W.G. Crace. On the 1st of January in 2008, it merged with the English Women's Bowling Association to become Bowls England. There you are. In 1903 as well, a D. Pfeiffer of Chicago, Illinois, invented a handicap method for bowling. Duck pin bowling was invented in 1905. Now, the American Bowling Congress originally used, by the way, here in 1895 is the Palace Bowling Hall. That is correct, the Palace Bowling Hall in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. Look at that. Look at that. Oh, and incidentally, here, I might say, in 1919, was a regular bowling lane next to a duck pin bowling lane. How about that? And there's some members of the armed forces there taking advantage. So in the early days, the American Bowling Congress used bowling balls made of lignum vitae, which was a hardwood from the Caribbean, but those were eventually phased out and ever-true rubber bowling balls were made. And then the Brunswick Mineralite rubber ball came out in 1905. Columbia Industries, founded in 1960, was the first to successfully manufacture polyester resin plastic bowling balls. And in 1980, urethane shell bowling balls were introduced by Ebonite. Ebonite. Yeah. Just a little about the old history of the bowling pin, the bowling ball. In 1908, the now oldest surviving bowling alley for 10-pin bowling was opened in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, in the basement of the Holler House Tavern, containing the oldest sanctioned lanes in the United States of these Americas. In 1913, the monthly Bowler's Journal was published in Chicago, Illinois, and they're publishing that thing to this very day. So it's like 112 years old. Can you dig it? Now, from 1920 to 1933, prohibition in the United States caused bowling alleys to have to disassociate from saloons, and that is what is credited with turning bowling into a family game and to encourage more women bowlers. And by women bowlers, I mean, yes, Floretta Dottie McCutcheon. Can you dig it? Yeah. Can you dig it? A bunch of stuff happened throughout the years. They had various opens that were seen to be the big tournaments. The Peterson Open Bowling Tournament, known as the Pete, was first held in Chicago. A National Bowling Writers Association was formed. The Bowling Proprietors Association of America had a big all-star tournament in 1942. Yeah, there was actually, just like baseball and all the other sports, they were all integrated in the late 40s. Because, you know, who wants to be segregated when you're bowling? In 1952, American Machine and Foundry, known as AMF, those of you who bowl know AMF is a giant name in bowling, they began marketing an automatic pin setting machine. And that eliminated the need for pin boys. And it caused bowling to rocket in popularity because it made things go much faster. And it made the 1950s the decade of the bowler. As a matter of fact, in 1954, Steve Nagy became the first person to bowl a perfect 300 game on TV on NBC TV's Championship Bowling, and the PBA later named its Sportsmanship Award after him. Now, I was going to get my hair cut today, and I didn't for a very good reason. And that reason is that in 1958, the Professional Bowlers Association, the PBA, was founded in Akron, Ohio by 33 prominent bowlers like Buzz Fazio, Billy Whaley, Carmen Salvino, Glenn Allison, Don Carter, and this man, Dick Weber. I might also point out that everyone who bowled in that time had extreme hair, like my good friend Dick Weber here. Dick Weber was probably the first big superstar. On January the 27th in 1962, ABC Television aired its first Saturday afternoon broadcast of a PBA Tour event, the Empire State Open at the Redwood Lanes in Albany, New York, beginning a partnership between ABC and the PBA that lasted through 1997. The Saturday afternoon bowling telecast garnered very good ratings through the early 80s until the cable television-fueled explosion of sports viewing choices caused the ratings to decline. But this was the guy that did all of the bowling, and he is a legend, not just in bowling circles. He did golf. He did ABC's Wide World, not Wildwood. Well, it was wild very often. World of Sports. Chris Schenkel, famous Hoosier. We're all very, very proud of him. From Bippus, Indiana. That's it. That's right. I said it. Bippus. I said it. Bippus. What do you think of that? What do you think of Bippus? You bet your Bippus he did. Also in 1962, the first PBA Tournament of Champions was held, and it became an annual event in 1965 and was sponsored by Firestone Tire from 1965 to 1993. Tires really big in the bowling circles, you know. People that bowl, I can say this from my own childhood, people that bowl really like tires. They really do. I know this like from personal experience. And I mean, you know, Floretta Dottie McCutcheon liked her attire. By the way, also in 1962, the American Wheelchair Bowling Association was founded in Louisville, Kentucky. That's right. Oh, yeah, that's right. So on November the 25th, 1963, just a few days after the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. What that has to do with it? Nothing. But I just thought I'd mention it. Sports Illustrated published the article, "A Guy Named Smith is Striking It Rich." And it revealed that PBA stars made more money than other professional sports stars. With more than $1 million in prizes to shoot for, the nation's top professional bowlers are rolling in money. But that was short-lived, because even though the number of bowling alleys in the U.S. went from 65,000 in 1957 to 160,000 in 1962, U.S. bowling industry boom hit a brick wall in 1963. So there you are. That guy I showed you earlier, yeah, Dick Weber, well, he was outdone by a dude named Don Carter. And Don Carter also had crazy hair. I'm not going to show you. Well, you know what? Actually, Don Carter's picture is so freakishly weird that I am going to show it to you. I'm going to download it right now. It is freakishly strange, so I'll show it to you. But Don Carter became the first bowler to earn $1 million a year in endorsements. He had a multi-year deal with Ebonite International for $1 million. Let's see, what can I get rid of here? I'll get rid of this. So I got to get rid of stuff naturally to show you Don Carter. Why? Well, because StreamYard says so. That's why. I'll get to some more of your comments here in just a second. By the way, like, share, subscribe, retweet, notification bell. Please do those free things that help us with the algorithm, the almighty, all-powerful, all-seeing algorithm. And we do love it when you do super chats and you do memberships for yourself, or you gift memberships for other people. Tells how in the bar at the bottom of the screen. And gifting those memberships means that someone else will get members only exclusive content like the 2 documentaries I did in 2013. Both of them this Sunday. I'm showing both of them. Well, not both of them. I got way more than that, but I'm showing 2 of them. Here's Don Carter, the first guy to get $1 million in endorsements. Okay, check him out. And of course, he had the hair, and he had the little, whatever. Right. He did that. Yeah. In 1982, another guy with big hair, Earl Anthony, he was sort of the heir to, Carter and Dick Weber and Don Carter. Earl Anthony kind of took over from them, both in hair and in other things. But he won the Toledo Trust PBA National Championship, and he became the first bowler to reach $1 million in career prize money. So you look at him and you go, what a nerd. But some of the girls are going, hey, what's going on? How you doing? What's shaking? Also in 1982, former PBA pro Glenn Allison rolled the first 900 series. That's 3 straight 300 games in a 3-game set ever to be submitted to the ABC for award consideration. But the ABC refused to certify the score, citing non-complying lane conditions. Isn't that always the way? By the way, that perfect 900 for 3 straight games wasn't ever achieved until 1997 when Jeremy Sonnenfeld did it. Yeah. By the way, in 2000, the Weber Cup, named after, you guessed it, man about town, Dick Weber, it was established as bowling's equivalent to the Ryder Cup, with Team USA playing Team Europe in a 3-day match. You want to talk about the fur flying? I'm not going to get into a bunch of this other stuff. I've already talked about the balls configuration. Bowling pins are constructed of gluing blocks from rock maple wood into the approximate shape and then turning that shape onto a lathe. And after the lathe shapes the pin, it is coated with a plastic material, painted, and then covered with an additional glossy finish. Because of the scarcity of suitable wood, bowling pins can be made from approved synthetics. Currently, there are synthetic pins sanctioned for play in some of the lesser forms of bowling. There's only one synthetic 10-pin model approved by the United States Bowling Congress. When hit by the ball, they sound different. Yeah. Yeah. Pin setting is a big deal. How the pins are actually set. And you might not think so, but here's how big of a deal they are. The United States Bowling Congress indicated that effective August 1st, 2023, it is certifying string pin setters and string pin bowling as an independent category of equipment and competition separate from conventional free fall pin setters, the ones that just put them down. Their laboratory data indicated a strike percentage on string pin bowling of 7.1% lower. Yeah. String pin setters are less expensive and easier to maintain, motivating bowling centers to phase them in. So there you go. We all know how to score bowling. I'm not getting into that. I am going to get to your comments, and then I'm going to tell you about some amazing bowling stuff. Some more amazing bowling stuff having nothing to do with Dottie, better known as Floretta McCutcheon. Not going to do that to you. Hold on, I got another president. Here, I'll let you look at this guy. Man, check this guy out. For those of you who don't know, and I'm going to show it to you in a second, I'm going to show this to you. The White House has a bowling alley. And I think we all know what that means. What it means is that the president bowls. I don't care what president you're talking about. The president bowls. Daggone it. Hold on. Let me, and I'm going to show you a president bowling as soon as StreamYard allows me to. There we go. And then I'll get to your comments. And then I'll show you some more crazy. There we go. There we go. How about that, huh? Look at that. Let's just get that up full and everything else. Wow, I got to go back here. Let me see. Well, there's a lot of them. Oh, boy. All right, hold on. What are bowling balls made of? I think I covered that. I grew up about 10 minutes away from Sleepy Hollow, New York. Plastic, rubber, polyurethane. I love those bowling ball polishing machines. Yes, or you can do it by hand. I know Victor because I used to custom fit and drill them at my store. There you go. Thanks, Kim. Bowling balls are heavy. Not for the wolf. Tim Jenkinson says the first president of the Philippines had a bowling alley in his house. Well, our president has one too. So, na. Thanks for the info. It makes sense that Germans would like bowling. We like the colliding of things into each other and the loud, scary noise. Melanie Vicky says you can bowl in the Sims 3 game I play. You can go to an actual bowling alley or just buy a lane from your home for your home. Well, that's cool. My pleasure. I'm sure they had Pervitine with them. Well, bowling's always better on Pervitine, I've heard from the Germans. Wolf says, I believe those working in the shop in Germany were using Pervitine, making service hours longer and faster. Und faster. Mach schnell. Victor says, I had a bad run-in while outside a half an hour ago, just smoking a cigarette outside. Aggressive homeless person. Well, you should have offered to take them bowling. He's over it. All right, 12-inch pins. 12 giggity. Doctor. You're a trip, man. Good to have you. As always, Doc Torn, you are well loved in this chat room, I'll tell you. Great name. Love her. Victor says she knocked down my pins. Doc says, I wonder how she got the nickname Dottie. Well, of course, Dottie, always the short version. You know, it's like Richard is Dick and Thomas is Tom. And Floretta is always Dottie for short, right? I mean, I think. The Wolf says, I had a homeless person curse me out outside of a taco shop across from Petco Park as I cleaned their windows. Later, I discovered he was cursing at the tree in front, not me. The old people like playing lawn bowls here. Yeah, lawn bowls is very pastoral. It's very restful. Metal Main Vicky says, Doc, back when prank calls could be done, you could call the bowling alley and ask the guy how heavy his... Well, yeah, yeah. Then we went bowling. Kim, I have also been... Well, I'm sorry to hear that, Victor. For 6 months. Doc says, Metal Main Vicky, well, I'm not saying I did, but I'm not saying I didn't. Metal Main Vicky's laughing. The Wolf says, I got tired of driving home from L.A. down to San Diego. Dottie looks very explosive. She really does. She's no President George Bush, but she's explosive. Quick feet. She's imposing, almost like my 6'4" Aunt Beulah. She's probably using a 16-pound ball. Dick Weber. Yes, Dick Weber. All right, we've had a Dick Weber sighting. Dick Weber sounds like a bad Spider-Man theme. Oh, hey now, Tim. Come on, man. Come on. Sometimes I just walk into these things. Weber, I barely knew her. He did have that nice coiffed hair, yes. Did Tom say Bippus? Yes, Bippus, Indiana. We used to watch bowling tournaments on TV. Watching the bowling on Saturday afternoon, particularly in the winter, something very restful about it. It's satisfying. Kim, I was alone, afraid, did small jobs, cutting and splitting wood, painting a church, even mason. I'm sorry to hear that, Victor. It's kind of a downer. Dick Weber looks like he's happy to be here. Oh, he is so happy to be here. Wolf likes the woods. Michael Garner said, I fell asleep listening to you tell stories about Rickles. I never got to the end. Did everything turn out okay for him? Is he okay now? Oh, Michael. I hate to be the one to tell you, but he's buried at Mount Sinai. Was Barney Rubble based on Dick Weber? Sure could have been. Wolf says, I miss randomly pulling up to any bowling alley I see and bowling many games since those jerks stole my shoes and bag. Mike Rodick says, having spent part of my misspent youth in the St. Louis area, I have been to the Bowling Hall of Fame. Interesting. That's cool. The National Soccer Hall of Fame, of course, here in Dallas. Frisco, Texas, actually. Wolf says, I'm surprised he wasn't helped by the church. Coach, that sounds like a great time. Let's go by the Bowling Hall of Fame. Abracadaver. We haven't seen him in a while. He's always funny. Bowling seems like it would be more normal. It would be more for the paranormal. I think it was in the Rip Van Winkle story. It has 4 lanes at the White House. Does it? Does it? Does it? Well, does it? Does it? Does it really? Does it? He probably had a picture of Bin George Bush had a picture of Bin Laden on the headband. Abra it is. Lousy autocorrect. What a jerk. Yes, and hi, Abracadaver. Always good to see you. Well, what if I was to tell you, Mr. Smarty O'Penny, that in 1948, 2 bowling lanes were installed in the ground floor of the west wing of the U.S. presidential residence, the White House, as a birthday gift for then President Harry S. Truman. The lanes were moved to the old Executive Office Building, now the Eisenhower Executive Office Building, in 1955 for the benefit of White House employees. Its old location became a mimeographed room and much later the White House Situation Room. So they used to bowl in the White House Situation Room. On the 9th of July, 2014, the General Services Administration published, then quickly withdrew a solicitation for bids to replace the Truman bowling lanes, which were deemed irreparable and for having had no professional industry standard maintenance, modification, or repairs or attention for 15 years. However, in 1969, friends of then President Richard M. Nixon, who was said to be an avid bowler, had a one-lane alley built in an underground space below the building's north portico. The one-lane bowling alley went under major renovations in 1994 and then again in 2019. And there's Tricky Dick throwing fire. Throwing fire. Look at that guy. By the way, in true Richard Nixon form, am I the only one that sees that his foot is over the line? Am I the only one checking that out? I am not a crook. I did not foot fault. I am not a crook. Yes, and wigs. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't really know how much more I can do on the subject of bowling. I think this is the, oh, but by the way, this is what it looks like now. This is the Melania Trump refurbishment of the bowling alley. Okay? So I think Melania redid it in 2019. This is known as the Be Best, redo of the bowling alley at the White House. So this is what it looks like today, the bowling alley at the White House. But I kind of like, and then Metal Maiden Vicky noted the wallpaper. I think Melania made a really good choice in getting rid of the wall, but somebody did. Somebody did. Anyway. 9 of July, 2014. Good year for me. I'm glad to hear that, Victor. That made Vicky, that wallpaper. Holy snikes. Actually, there's something else I'm going to show you here in a second. He's totally over the line. I call shenanigans on you, Mr. Nixon. I do. I can't, Victor, I got to stop reading your stuff today. It's just really, I got to read it before I post it. I could not bowl next to that wallpaper. I think epileptic people could not bowl next to that wallpaper. Doggone that Tricky Dick. What a jerk. Guy's a real jerk. You know? I think that new bowling alley room looks great. The blue sofa looks comfy. It does, doesn't it? It looks so comfortable. And, you know, I'm not going to say that bowling always involves foul language. But what I will say is this. Many of you notice probably that I don't really use profanity on this program. That's, again, no pun intended, not how I roll, right? You guys get that, right? I mean, you guys, where's the thing I downloaded? Is this it? Because I downloaded a thing earlier. Yeah, this is it. If you ever feel the need, I heartily recommend the Tim Hawkins Handbook of Alternative Cuss Words. By the way, like, share, subscribe, retweet, notification bell. So, share with your friends, please. One of the good shows, not necessarily this one. And say, hey, I watched this. And they'll say, wow, if insert your name here watches it, I should watch it. And then it'll grow the show a little bit with likes and shares and subscriptions. Certainly we can use your subscriptions. We have memberships, we have super chats, and it tells how to turn on your gifted memberships at the bottom of the screen. You know, a little something for the effort. You know what I'm saying? We're just talking about tipping being a custom. And anyway, this is the Tim Hawkins Handbook of Alternative Cuss Words. Field tested, mother approved. So you got, so if you're miffed, shucks, rats, gosh, shizzle, you know, crapola's in there, bleep is in there, sheesh, heck, that sort of thing. If you're exasperated, good gravy, good grief, gadzooks, jackwagon, you know, crud muffin. I like crud muffin. I'm not having it is great googly moogly, great Caesar's ghost, kiss my grits, shut your pie hole, that's such a good one. Mother of pearl, HE double hockey stick, suck eggs, you know, shut the front door. And then there's the son of a biscuit, son of a biscuit eater, son of a Baptist preacher, son of a bacon bit. These are good non-cuss words. So I encourage you all to adhere to the Tim Hawkins Handbook of Alternative Cuss Words, field tested, mother approved, particularly when bowling. For cripe's sake. That's just a lucky strike extra that we threw in here. You know, that's just it's one of the little extra things we do for you here on the Tom Gulley Show. That, you know, occasionally you could be like Metal Maiden Vicky and a little tip, you know, just a little something. Never hurt anybody. Let's see here. Tim Jenkinson says he saves the profanity for the travel videos. Well, I do, but I generally bleep it. And if you guys knew me in the real world, which I think is stupid, this is the real world. People go, in real life. Well, no, this is real life. It's a web show. Those things exist in real life. But if you guys talk to me personally in my private life, there's the proper nomenclature. The wolf would probably tell you that I occasionally may drift into some blue language. Nixon on the radio, 74. Okay. How dare you show us that filth, you no good, worthless son of a gun, Yankee trash. Metal Maiden Vicky says those alternate cuss words are funny. They are. Abracadabra says, can you say every one of these? Well, I said a lot of them. Metal Maiden Vicky says, we say swear words here, though, not cuss. Yeah, I've heard people say, that's a swear. Fiddle faddle. Stinking bottle of cheap shipping oil. What was the one in Johnny Dangerously? The guy was farging ice holes. And Butkus goes, you believe the mouth on that guy? Bastage. The guy he sounded really bad, but he wasn't saying bad words. Metal Main Biggie says, son of a bacon bit. That's funny. I think that's a funny one. Let's see here. Stinking rotten jelly dough. Kiss my grits. Mel's Diner. Well, Alice. And then it became Mel's Diner. And then I think it became Flo's Diner for a while. Anyway, what do we got going on here? Should I even open up the phone lines? Is that even a thing? Is that a thing I should do this evening? Are you guys all worn out? I'm worn out. I got to have some delicious family brand, store brand Coke Zero. Oh, by the way, guess who got loud car guy to move from the front of the house? Uh-huh. Now he's bothering people half a block down the road. You know. It's actually not in a bad spot. They're right on the cul-de-sac, and so if he's right on the edge of the cul-de-sac, he's like kind of, anyway. On the cusp of the cul-de-sac, some would say. He's in a spot you could never be in places where it snows and stuff. But we have pretty good tread around here. Wolf says he's so tired and hungry he could go bowling. What was I going to make after? Oh, I'm going to make some pizza. I'm really hungry. I didn't eat before starting this dog and pony show. Positive Patriot says, hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah, brother. Yep. Ain't around here no more. And he's so mad about it. Because excuse me, wow. I know he got a talking to. By the way, the Zero products, they're really good, but they make you belchy, as you just heard. They make you all belchy. You know, they make you all belchy is what they do. They really do. They make you all belchy. Let me see here. I got to look something up while this is loading. Because I am going to load up the old phone lines. Don't you know? Can you dig it? I knew that you could. Oh, Meadowman Viggie's got a quote here. Let's check this baby out. I definitely appreciate you doing the show on bowling today, Tom. So many good memories of hanging out at Starline Lanes, whether we were inside or out and back. My home away from home for years. I was at the Woodland Bowl. The good old Woodland Bowl. What people leave me the dumbest texts. This one is, okay. So this is from XAUUSD Trading Signals Million Club 405. And they want to connect with me on Skype. It says Gold Snipers, so it's some sort of investment group or something. Stop it. Just stop it. Yeah, we had the Woodland Bowl where I was, and Mike Albee, who is a major star in bowling from India, he used to bowl there sometimes, and we'd all just try to get a lane close to his. It's Mike Albee. That's Mike Albee. He's Pro Bowler of the Year last year. I think I will forget smoking. Just tired. Yeah, they do that. The Wolf says there's nothing like CO2. Tim Jenkinson says it seems people don't drink water in America. Well, I do, but I'm out of bottled water. I just ran out yesterday. Skype is shutting down on May the 5th, Cinco de Mayo. The Wolf says, Tim, I drink RO water every day. I do too. By the way, Tim, I do too. It's in the evening. I need a little caffeine to get through the show. But I've been drinking water. If you go back and look at the last couple of shows, I've been drinking water. I runned out. And so I got to wait till Saturday morning when I go to the grocery store to get some more. I was going to go this morning, but I was sleepy. I didn't want to. It's better on the weekend. You know what I'm saying, man. I know that you know what I'm saying, man. And if you don't know what I'm saying, I'll tell you who does. Floretta Dottie McCutcheon. By the way, phone lines are open 972-994-6822. I don't have forever to talk, though, because I'm about to keel over. Because this bowling shirt, and I have another shirt on underneath it, is really hot. It's 40 years old, and it looks like the brand new. Chris Schenkel also would understand. I have a feeling Dick Nixon would understand. I have a feeling Don Weber would understand. I know Earl Anthony would understand. Oh, wait, that was Don Carter. This is Dick Weber. I'm going to leave Earl Anthony up there. I always liked him. He's a tall drink of water, was Earl Anthony. I need a little pick-me-up, too, Pavitine. Metal, reverse osmosis water. That's what RO water is, reverse osmosis. I'm guessing the tap water there isn't good. It depends on where you live. There are certain cities where they actually use the tap water for bottled water. They export it. As tap. The tap. It's actually it's very good here in Dallas. We have really good water here. But bottled is quick, cheap, and easy. So, may I speak to Martin, please?
How about that old stinking bottle of cheap ship oil? Come and get one of the y'all bowls, if you have any y'all bowls, that is, thou stinking rotten jelly dough.
Oh, I'm sorry. One of my droogs is called.
Was it fat, stinking Billy Boy?
Yes. Some naughtiness last night. Your name was mentioned. Yes.
Out for a little drive in the old Durango 92.
Little of the old ultra violence. Well, I mean, Vicky says I had to look that up. Okay. This is not a good, we usually get a good phone connection. This is not a great phone connection. It's okay, I guess. It's just kind of muffled.
And this is my fabulous new phone. Well,
oh, now that sounds good. That sounds, what you just did there, that sounds good.
Well, of course it does. I did.
Yes. How could I have thought anything different? Oh wait, I better get my picture of the wolf out here so people don't think I'm talking to Earl Anthony.
My friend Chuck routinely just walks in off the street and wins bowling tournaments. He borrowed the Cougar one night. I said, "Where are you going?" He says, "Well, I'm going to go to the bowling tournament in San Marcos." I said, "Well, don't drive through town at 10:30 or after because the cops will pull you over," which is something they always do. So he goes to this tournament. We've not gone bowling ever, but so he just walks in and just bowls. He bowled a perfect game, a $299, a $289, and won $250. Won the tournament. Drove home after 10:30, and the police pulled him over and gave him a ticket for having a license plate light out. And I said, "Did I not tell you not to drive through Escondido like that?"
Well, I'm sure you did. That's just another direct connection between bowling and crime.
Obviously, that same car that they must have wanted to look at my bowling gear it seemed like at least 2 or 3 times a week when I drove up to LA in it for construction. The Border Patrol would pull me over to check it. And I said, "Look, it's a Cougar. There's no back seat. There's no trunk.
Yeah.
What do you think I'm carrying?" I opened it up. I'd show them that I had hoses, some belts, tools.
Yeah.
Obviously for the job.
Right. But is that something you remember? Because Lucas Malago is requesting, I think. If you look at your screen. I
can't. I'm on the phone.
I got you. I remember.
I'm on one of my phones.
I know. You got 9 phones over there. But I think, I remember the police in Escondido. Them blue boys. Anyway.
Them blue bellies.
Yeah, but I think he wants the
to pull over all Southern boys.
He wants the I remember.
In Virginia.
He wants the I remember part.
He wants the I remember. Back in 1843, I was born in Virginia.
I thought you'd do it about Ball State. I remember back in 1981.
Oh, I love
living
that
in Palmer Hall and making ice cream.
The greatest floor.
Yes.
I believe it's the greatest floor in the North, as well as in Northern trash can do.
I remember.
Of course, down in our beautiful flower of the South, we were much better bowling alleys, Virginia.
I remember making 4-foot tall ice cream cones. Doc says, was the light actually out, or did the cops help put it out?
There are two. The actual code says that it needs your plate needs to be lit. There are two lights on each side in a Cougar.
Yeah.
One of them was out, the other one was on, so the license plate was lit. They just wanted to pull him over and give him a ticket.
Yeah.
So
Doc says only 9 phones. Did Wolf get rid of a few?
no, I have 6.
Oh, only
Oh,
6.
and an inspection coming up. So even though I have a letter from the fire department about my power strips,
Yeah.
which are perfectly UL rated, perfectly legal, and in fact, every program by a fire safety person recommends getting them.
Well, but
Here, it's a problem.
yours are industrial too, aren't they?
Mine are set up to handle high amperage appliances. Yes, they are.
Good God. I don't have your
But not good enough for battery chargers for phones.
I don't have the Wolf wall anymore in my preloaded stuff. All I have is your X-ray of your your pelvis.
The X-ray of my equipment.
When they put
my brand new equipment.
Yes, when they put your new hips in, and yeah, I don't think we want to look at that.
My half $250,000 of equipment.
Yes. Yes. Doc says it's California. That ain't a problem here. Doc Torn is awesome. I'm glad he's here. We miss Doc Torn. He's always funny. He's a good man. We got a lot of good people in here. We have the best people on the internet in here.
You're serious?
And us. And you, plus you and I.
Yeah, I wouldn't exactly consider especially a northern carpetbagger.
Well, I'm saying the rest of the people are the best people on the internet. And then
yeah, we're Huns from the north, and
yeah.
I'm the crowd favorite, so I couldn't possibly be on that list.
Definitely the crowd favorite. I played soccer in Indiana in the 70s and 80s. You know how popular that made you.
Oh, man. What a crowd. You're definitely the crowd favorite sport.
Yes. Well, at the time.
In the 70s and 90s.
If I'd have been if I'd have been in Bloomington, I'd have walked the earth as a god.
You would have had to been on our bowling team or volleyball team.
I would have had to. Well, no. Indiana University had national champion soccer teams, but at Ball State, all the foreign girls, and then just girls that went to private schools and a few country schools that had soccer because they
dropped and worshipped at your athletic feet.
Yeah, because they didn't have football at those schools. They had to have soccer. Bethesda Christian.
They realized what a true speed merchant really looked like.
Well, that and once you got the leather jacket, they didn't know what sport you played, so it was just ooh. I could have been playing girls badminton, and they'd no, wait, the girls had different leather jackets. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
they had different ones. Theirs were white. Theirs were dumb. Remember that badminton team we had? That was the women's badminton team we had. That was like a national power because we had all those girls from Canada that were on it, and then they got chopped with all the rest of the Title IX stuff.
No, I think our bowling team do we have 4 national titles? I know we got 3.
I know I tagged both the Ball State men and women's bowling teams in the Twitter posting, and both of them had just like 70 followers, but I did it anyway. Well, let's see if I can find it. Let me see. Let me see here. Well, let's see. Has Ball State ever won a national championship bowling? No, it's not won a national championship in bowling. It says it's more known more known for its football program. So you know that you people that are big fans of AI, way to go.
Yeah, that's incorrect.
Let's see here. Yeah, these people. Oh wait, this all has to be before 2022. They're not going to have this stuff. Let's see.
Yeah, they had won. I think 3 when I graduated, or maybe 2 when I graduated. I was looking for them to have another PBA event there, and I didn't see one this year. I was watching the tournaments. I've watched 4 tournaments this year, and it's people out. They're young dudes that I haven't even heard of, really.
You know what?
There's one guy that was
back then. They probably. It was probably it wasn't NCAA, so it was probably the National Collegiate Bowling Association or something, you know, that may not even exist now. Who the hell knows? We've never won a team national championship, but we have won individual national championships in swimming and in track. And the track one was just 2 years ago. Charity Griffith won the national high jump in 2023.
Well, that's
I remember.
That's surprising.
I remember. Doc says he's funny, but looks aren't everything. Melmaine Vicky says she loved playing badminton. We had a net growing up and would play a game a lot when we would take family vacations to Lake George, New York. We didn't bring the net with us on vacation. They had one there. We had a separate one at the house. If there's badminton, does that mean there's good mitten? Well, I hope so. Well, I know there's a shuttlecock either way. It seems reasonable, Doc. You'd think, huh? So, anyway.
What an obscure thing to... Well, actually, not all that obscure.
Man, it used to be so much fun to go to that bowling alley under the student center. It was a blast. It was never real busy either. It was just the right amount of busy, you know? It was like never...
Well, that's the best floor I've ever bowled on. I bowled on some tournament floors, and that was the best one I've ever seen.
It was really good. It wasn't that loud because the floor was so good. You know?
Well, I think they had it dampened too. There was dampening in that area.
Well,
too.
they were.
So it wasn't. So you didn't hear the crash of the strikes.
Well, but you also didn't hear the boom. You know, when the ball hit the lane because they were in a basement.
That's the best floor I've ever seen.
Yeah, they were in a basement, so it's not like there was a floor below it or something. But any old way, it was a good place. It wasn't necessarily Richard Nixon wallpaper good, but it was pretty damn good.
That stupid autocorrect. I was asking how many lanes they had.
Well, when you
I've forgotten.
I think if you think about it, it's kind of it makes sense that there's only one. You know, I mean, how many people are really going to be bowling, and everybody's attention will be focused on it if there's only one.
You know, they never televised any bowling there. Of course, I think I saw a program where they showed it. once back a long time ago, but
Yeah.
they never really made a big deal out of it.
I bet you.
Especially Tricky Dicky down there.
Do you think Chris Schenkel ever got to go to the White House and bowl, or did he just maybe go there and announce it?
I'm sure he got an invite.
What was that Chuck Mangione song that feels so good? I always love it because welcome to the PBA Open in Toledo, Ohio, the Firestone Open here on ABC. And in the background, it's
Yeah. They might have used that for some golf tournaments.
oh, they used it for all the golf tournaments. I mean, they had the squarest music that you'd ever hear in your life. Who was it the son of Dick Carter, or was it the son of Dick Weber? Sorry, or Don Carter? I think it was Dick Weber's Pete Weber that did the crotch chop all the time.
Yeah, Pete Weber.
Let me see if I can find Pete Weber.
Petey.
Pete Weber, and then at a certain point he quit doing the crotch chop because he caught so much flack for it. But he was known for doing the crotch chop. He also would do a lot of other crazy stuff. But the controversy, here we go. He admitted to spending a 4-week stretch on tour in complete blackout, staying up for days on end with cocaine and drinking a fifth of Jack Daniels every night. He estimated he blew through $150,000 between 82 and 84 on cocaine, alcohol, and gambling.
Oh, they're lying. He was using Pervitin.
He entered rehab in 1984, ending what his famous father called 8 years of hell. He was not popular with his bowling peers. Wait, I got to download a picture of this Hunyuk because if there's one here, there's not even a picture of him. Damn. Yeah, there's not even a picture of him. Let's see here. Let's see. Brash reputation. God, he cursed out Gary Thorne, the ESPN announcer. Strike to claim it, strike to claim it, and he got it. And Weber ran up into the mic booth and said, "Yes, GD, yes, that's right. I did it. That's number 5. Are you kidding me? That's right. Who do you think you are?" Anyway.
Oh, man.
But I'm looking for the crotch chop because he was suspended for conduct unbecoming a professional. But man, oh man. And the new tour ownership saw his flashiness as a potential tool for marketing the PBA to a new audience. But I'm trying to find, because it was a big deal. He would do the crotch chop all the time. I mean,
I was trying to remember who his sponsor was.
Patrick.
I'm surprised they didn't drop him.
After his team won the AFC Championship in January of 2023, Kansas City Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes tweeted Weber's famous, "Who do you think you are? I am," quote. It's pretty funny. But he used to do the crotch chop all the time. Let me see if I can find a crotch chop picture of Pete Weber. But there's actually a YouTube video called Top 5 Worst Pete Weber Moments on TV. I'm going to watch that later, as a matter of fact.
I wonder if was he sponsored by Brunswick or Ebonite or Hammerelli?
Oh, he was sponsored
Did he drop the hammer
by somebody. But at a certain point, he got convinced to quit with the crotch chop. Oh, God, there's a million. If you type in Pete Weber and the crotch chop, you'll see a million crotch chop photos. And by the way, if you don't know what the crotch chop is, that's when a guy brings his hands down on each side of his... Never mind. You don't need to know what it is. Yeah. Good old Pete Weber. Good man. Well, anyway, I probably should get out of here. What's going on with you?
Oh, I'm just preparing for the 24th and my visit with Satan's daughter.
It sounds medical. It sounds like you have to go do some medical stuff.
No, I have to do that on Saturday and Sunday.
Oh, well, who's Satan's daughter? Oh, your inspection.
The manager.
Yes.
Satan's grandma.
Yes.
She looks
Why
like
doesn't she just
older than me?
Why doesn't she just lighten up? You know, you've been there.
That lady never said one word until we got this new yes manager who just yes to everything and lies about everything.
Well, it's like you've been there for ages. Why don't they just leave you?
No, just since 98.
Okay, so you've only been there for 27 years. Why don't they just leave you alone? People have been in and out of there, raising hell from the beginning. You know, it's just leave the guy alone. You know,
because she's filled with new power for these knuckleheads that make up all these rules as they go along.
Mm-hmm.
So it you know how that deal goes.
Well,
with
she could,
Grandma Satan.
Yeah, she could look real bad by it's you've got some health things you're taking care of, and now you are part of that AARP generation, so that would be elder abuse. But anyway, well, I hope that goes well for you. I hope it goes well.
Well, I've out of sight, out of mind, so I've moved all my living room cords behind my computer, and I'm just going to put a sheet over it and say, "Oh yeah, that's just for dust." And then the other one I have hidden behind some of my ball jars here in the kitchen. As soon as they're gone, I'll just plug it back in.
Yeah.
And I'll probably hide this other one that's over here for the wall of sound, and then so it's sort of out of her sight.
Well, let me know if she messes with you, because we'll get the Tom Gulley Nation to leave bad Yelp reviews and stuff. Captain Stonecrab says, "Howdy, strangers. Howdy, stranger. Where you been? Good to see you. Like and subscribe and all that stuff." And we're about to end the show, but we do appreciate you coming. But anyway, well, hey, man, thanks for calling in. And we'll keep a good thought out for your inspection.
I'm just still thinking about my bowling bag and my shoes.
They got stolen. Well,
they stole my wrist brace too.
And I left my hair. You probably had some of that powder. I left my hair like up, so it's in, old school bowling fashion with my shirt here. So anyway, I got to get out of here and get something to eat and stuff.
I got to get going.
All right. Well, take her easy. Thanks for calling in.
Goodbye, Daddy. That's your show.
Goodbye. That guy's a freak. Okay, wait a minute. I got to take the banner down. Let's see here. Say goodbye. It was just a little over a week that we had Ruta Lee here, and then we just had the Wolf. Things are looking up for the Tom Gulley Show. I have no idea who's going to be on the program tomorrow, or what the program will be about. I think I knew earlier today. I may have even been talking about it. Let's see, Carson Land, the movie, John. It's got to be something too. If I can't think of anything else, we'll do Who's on First, because that promises to be a real. We might as well just go ahead and do Who's on First, I guess. I don't know. I got a million. I got to rewrite all of these. Yeah. So, hey, we'd like to thank Metal Maiden Vicky not only for donating those two wonderful, wonderful photos of a real bowling alley from her childhood, but also for the single and solitary donation that we got today. Yep. That's the Tom Gulley Show for you. Captain Stonegrab says, I have your rosin bag, buddy. Wolf says, that's going to be a real humdinger. All right. With all of this stuff being said, I'm looking at that old clock on the wall. And like the Reverend Al Green, it's time for me to get on up out of here. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here, sadly. And with all that being said, I think the only thing left to say is, till next time. We'll see you next time.
1, 2, 3, 4. They call me Mr. Gulley. I've got something for your ear. Now it might sound kind of funny, but I'll make it very clear. So what we talking about? We're talking about spiders, and we're talking about pervitin', and we're talking about Bigfoot. I'm here to tell you where he's been. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. Here we go now. I'm talking about Mr. Gulley, and you don't know where he's been. Oh no, he's been right in your alley. Well, I'm Mr. Gulley, yes I am. So what we talking about?